Okay, true confession time. I am the author of the book called The Gluten Effect, which we wrote several years ago, my husband and I, and we were really one of the earlier adopters of understanding there's a difference between celiac disease and gluten sensitivity. Celiac disease being an autoimmune disease, gluten sensitivity having equally intense symptoms associated with it, but not having that autoimmune response where your immune system is actually attacking the lining of your small intestine. Ultimately, there are such an array of symptoms associated with both that the bottom line is don't eat gluten. It's a zero tolerance policy, I have always said. And over the years, patients have gone to Italy and decided to consume gluten and only to come back and tell me, I felt fine, I did great. And I've been in practice for 40 years, so give me a little grace on this one, but here's my story. So the first thing I would think of, because we don't go on vacation hardly at all, is like, yeah, right, I'm gonna finally set the time to go to Italy. I'm 50% Italian, I love Italy, and I'm gonna set aside the time and the money, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna eat gluten that's gonna make me sick. That sounds like a brilliant idea, to be sick on vacation. Okay, so all this time has passed, and what I always did say to patients is like, what I really want someone to do is do a test before they go to Italy showing that they're really, gluten-free. This is somebody who's sensitive, and they've been very good. There's no gluten. Their immune system is not registering any gluten in their diet. And then go to Italy, eat the pasta, etc., and then come back and test. And then we'll see, because it's one thing, I would always say, not feeling bad versus your immune system registering a problem, which is still creating ill effects. It's just less overt. Okay, good. So we just got back. You see where this is going. So we just celebrated our 38th wedding anniversary, and for part of our time away, we were in Italy for a week in Tuscany, which is gorgeous. And right before we left, well, one, my husband did a test for, a stool test, and of course he had no inkling of any gluten issues, and I have not had gluten, and we hardly ever eat out. It doesn't happen. So the two of us were very clean when it came to gluten. And then shortly before we left, somebody who I respected a lot said, a clinician said, Italy is the only place I can go to where it doesn't tear up my gut because I'm gluten sensitive. And I was like, oh. So I talked to my husband. He's like, yeah, let's try a little. What's the worst that can happen? We'll bring our enzymes, bring all our kind of immune defense supplements anyway, and we can give it a try. So, believe it or not, we did. It had been so long since I ate gluten and I don't eat bread, and I'll eat like a lentil pasta. That's it. I don't do well with simple carbohydrates, whether it's rice, potato, etc. So that's me. He does a little bit better with that. And and again, 50% Italian here. My first little plate of pasta, because they don't eat big portions in Italy. And I thought, oh my gosh, because I remembered that I used to react, when I reacted back in the day, this is like 30 some odd years ago, last time I ate gluten, I had a 2.5 day lag time, which is kind of interesting. So we always say it's up to 3 days, which is long. So for me, it was 2+ days where I would then feel the reaction. And it would be gastrointestinal bloat gas, that kind of thing. So I had this, little bit of pasta, and it was delicious. And then I was like, wow, now I have to wait 2.5 days, but who knows, it's been so many years, blah, blah, blah. So we kind of, did this waiting game, trying not to think about it too much, and felt totally fine. And then over the course of the 7 days, yes, I confess, ate quite a bit of gluten to feel nothing. Not my husband, not myself. We noticed absolutely nothing. And it really annoyed me. And then after we left Italy, we actually went to Spain and Portugal, and there did not eat any gluten because there's not the magic of Italian gluten there. And so, you know, cut ourselves back off again and back to the gluten-free diet. So to make a long story short, you're probably, or maybe you don't know the moral of the story, but I got to come back, both my husband and myself, and do the test and say, that's nice that you didn't feel it while you were eating it, but what did your immune system think of it? And I'm here to tell you, my immune system was not happy about it at all. It completely registered the fact that I ate gluten, and it was annoyed. And you'd have to know me well to sort of hear it in my voice, but my husband, now it's going to make me clear my throat, but my husband actually got sick on the plane ride home with some virus, which is very unusual for us. And then 3 days later, I got it, and I've had this kind of residual thing. So that's another thing, right? So our immune systems were weakened, and we were a little bit more of an open door policy to the local virus going around. So I wanted to share that, at least we proved, this was not a thousands of people scientific study, but for the two of us, we actually did know that our immune system was very happy, and there was no gluten in our life before leaving, and we ate that Italian gluten that we felt totally fine eating, but our immune test was not happy at all, which is what I always wanted to know, but I never had anybody willing to do the before and after. So we held ourselves up as guinea pigs, and now we know the real truth if you ever wondered, because there's a lot of people talking about, yeah, I feel fine. And I always said, yeah, but there's a level there of not noticing it. I mean, there are people with celiac disease who can't tell when they eat gluten. It's sublimated. You know, I've always told patients it's so much better when you get that acute reaction. You get that migraine, you get that terrible GI distress, because at least you know you got contaminated. You know what happened. But for some people, it's called silent celiac, and they don't feel it. And that's so much harder, because then you can't sort of debug, where did I go? What did I eat? Where is this reaction coming from? So anyway, I just wanted to share my Italian gluten story. And I still love Italy, but I do not love their gluten. And if you are someone who wonders if you're gluten sensitive, even though you don't have celiac disease, that's definitely one of our specialties here at the clinic, and we'd be delighted to help you.